Hello and welcome to my channel, Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is October the 5th, 2023. How quickly the months are passing, and Kiki is here for a moment, passing through just to welcome in the new month. It almost looks like hers is the same yarn as mine, but it isn't. Hers, I know, were mini skeins and mine isn't. So we'll just put her up here and I'll move away from there before I knock it all over. So I want to welcome all of my viewers today. I know that there are quite a few new ones. I think we had like 50, almost 50 new subscribers this past month. So I hope you like what you see here and you come back. This channel is all about finished objects in crochet. It's about hand-dyed yarn that I like to show you as I get it. And it's about a monthly cowl now. Every month we do a cowl, and maybe you want to join in on that. So we hope you enjoy it here and you'll come back. I have viewers from all over the world now, which really excites me. We have just finished up a very big month of celebrating. And the first thing I want to do is remind you, I hope you're listening out there, because last week I pulled the names for all of the presents I was giving away on my birthday week. And I still haven't heard from 2 people. Now, maybe you are behind in watching the videos, and one person is Kim G. Check back to my last video. And the other one is Dragon Bee Crochet. I haven't heard from either of those people. So I'll give you one more week. If I haven't heard from you by next week, I'll just put those items back in the box to use on another giveaway. And last week, we had the final giveaway for the month. And the item, oops, that's not it. The item I was giving away was actually a double prize, 2 skeins of matching yarn called Birthday Cake. That's why I picked them to finish off the month. And the winner is Debbie P. in, I always say Debbie P. Debbie P. in Arizona. You have won these skeins of yarn. So I will get them out to you, but I believe you said you're traveling right now, so I will just wait until I know you're home before I put these in the mail. Congratulations, Debbie. One more thing about my birthday month, and then we'll move on. I forgot to show you this last week, and I thought it was so cute. And only a knitter or crocheter could really appreciate this card that I got for my birthday. Isn't he cute? And it says, I got an alpaca so I could give you a beautiful sweater for your birthday. But apparently they don't know how to knit, and it's crossed out and says crochet. Isn't that cute? Only a yarn person could really appreciate that card. Anyhow, I thought it was cute and wanted to share it with you. I'm sure the first question is, what am I wearing? Well, I have no idea what the pattern is, but I strongly suspect it isn't a special pattern because it's all rows of double crochet. It's in the shawl shape, all rows of double crochet, and every so often there's an open row, what some would call a lace row. There's a few of those, so no real pattern. The yarn, though, I'm quite sure is Oasis fingering from Expression Fiber Arts. I always say EFA. That's likely what the yarn is, although I don't have it written down, but it feels like it. Which brings me to a point that I wanted to mention, and I maybe mentioned it before. This year, I've done a really good job of keeping a record of what I am making, what the pattern name is, and usually the yarn I'm using. And I do it in two places. If it is a Ravelry pattern, I make sure to do a project page in Ravelry, and I've talked about that quite a few times. And I have an app on my iPad that I use. Wouldn't you know, I forgot the name of it, but if I will put it in the description box below, the name of the app I use. I really, really like it. And I'm using it to record every pattern I start. I want to know how many I do during the year. And of course, if I don't finish them, I can see whips that I need to go back and finish. So in the future, even if I wear something I made a year or 2 years ago, I'm going to know what the pattern is and what it looked like and so on, what yarn I use. But all of the old stuff, I don't remember at all because I didn't keep a record. So we usually start with finished objects, and I have 2 finished objects to share with you. And the first one, I actually showed it to you last week very quickly. I told you I was doing a make-along, a mystery cowl. It's a crochet along with Karen Whooley. And we weren't supposed to show it. And then later in the week, she sent an email and said, it's okay if we show it in social media, as long as we tell you that it is a mystery crochet along. And the pattern will not be out until sometime in 2024. She didn't even know when. So here is, and I started at the dark and worked up. Here is my finished cowl. It's quite a tall cowl. It had 5 sections, and each section took a different mini. And in some cases, in this one for sure, I didn't have enough to do as many rows as she said to do, but I didn't think it really mattered too much to the finished product. The other thing is, we had a new 1 stitch here, a different stitch here, and a 3rd stitch here. And then it went back. The 4th and the 2nd were the same, and the 5th and the 1st were the same. But I had 5 minis. I'll tell you about that in a minute. And she released the clues over 4 weeks. And there is my finished cowl from Karen Whooley. And if you're really, really interested in this pattern, keep your eyes open. You should subscribe to her newsletter because she has a new pattern every month. And she has specials if you're a newsletter person. And she has a lot of very nice patterns. So if you subscribe to her, you'll see when this is released. Now, I used yarn, mini set from Trilogy Yarns. And it is, they're 20-gram minis, 80 yards approximately in each one, and it's 80 superwash merino and 20% nylon, and the color is just teal. Now, I have to tell you, I like to be honest. It feels better now, but when I was working with it, it wasn't a favorite to work with. It didn't feel as, I don't know, smooth and yummy as some. And I work a lot with merino nylon blends, and I tend to like them. Some are nicer than others. There's one thing I really didn't like. When they dyed it, I think I still have a picture, and if I can find the picture, I'll put it up here, because I showed you the yarn with the white spots in it. So see the white spot here, here. Some of it gets lost in the stitching. You can really see it here, the white and the white. And the picture that I had, and I hope I can find it to show you, shows that they dyed it with the strings. All skeins of yarn are tied usually in 3 places. They obviously tied it tight and dyed it, and where the little tie was, the yarn stayed white. That doesn't happen very often. You probably say, well, they all tie them in 3 places. That would happen. I don't know what other dyers do differently. I don't know if they move the ties, or some of them may have plastic ties on them that aren't tight and then do the yarn ones after they're dyed and washed and so on. I don't know the difference, but this is the first time I've ever had a yarn that had all of these white speckles in them because of where they were tied. It was obvious. It was where it was tied that it happened. And I wasn't particularly fond of that. So that's one negative I had. And the other was the yarn. Now, I know it's the different kinds of yarn people use. I don't know if you can tell. Maybe you could tell better in here. This is a yarn that has a twist. Some yarns have a twist, others don't. There may be 1 ply. Others have, let's see if you can see it there. You can see it there. You can see the twist in the yarn. Others are twisted so tightly that you can't feel the twist. But I could feel the twist in working with this yarn. And again, this is just me. There's nothing wrong with the yarn. I just don't enjoy that. I like smoother yarn. When you look at this, you don't see the twist as much. I can see it a little, but it's silky, so you don't feel it the same. But it's just not my favorite. And so it feels, I don't want to say rough, because it's not rough, scratchy. It just feels, you can feel texture when you're using it. And so I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I would some other yarns. But anyway, there's my finished project. And that's what I used. And if you like getting mini sets, I'm sure you'll find quite a number with Trilogy yarns. I'm quite sure there were others when I was looking for that one. So that's one finished object. Next finished object. Sorry, something fell on the floor. I've had this done for quite a while, but it's been so busy through the month of September. I don't remember exactly how long ago I finished it, but it is a shawl. And I'm going to back up if I can without knocking things over this week. There is the shawl. Again, as I said, it's been a while, but I think this is a pattern I used from Siren. I will double check and look it up because I will have it recorded. And I will link it down below. It was a pretty straightforward, easy pattern, and I like the way it looked. It would probably, the pattern would look even nicer, likely, if it wasn't such a busy yarn. And the yarn I used is, I don't know, if you, I think you can still get some, is Scarfy Light. See that? Scarfy Light, and this is in the colorway Foliage. I have it in several others. It took 2 skeins, I have 2 of them here, 2 skeins of yarn. Let me tell you about the yarn. It is 43% acrylic, 41% polyester, and 9% nylon, and 7% Laine. Laine, not familiar with that. I originally made this for our donation box to the seniors residence, but I didn't realize they had all, well, if I know what Laine is, it might be safe because it's acrylic polyester nylon. Oh, that's a different language. Here it is up above. It's wool. 7% wool. I don't know if 7% is enough to make a difference, but generally speaking, you want all acrylic when you're donating to a place like that because they throw things in the washer and the dryer. Because this says you can wash it, machine wash, but lay flat to dry. That is not going to happen in a senior's home. So I'm going to take this with me to the craft show that I'm going to be in November. But that is my another finished object. And it is a good size. And I really liked working with the yarn. It feels soft. It's a bit fuzzy. And I have it in a similar, I have this in several other colors, Scarfy Light. I bought a bunch at one time. And I have one that's blue that I hope to make in the next month or two. So that's my other finished object for the moment. So, okay. Next of all, I wanted to remind those that don't know, to tell you, do you know what October is? I know, you got a few guesses, and you'll be right about some of them, but how many of you were aware that October is considered Socktober month? I didn't know until, a week, 10 days ago, this is Socktober month. Well, if you followed me for a while, you know I've never made a pair of socks. And I never really felt a need or desire to make socks, mostly because I hardly ever wear socks. So I got thinking about it, and I thought, well, maybe this might be the month to try and make a pair of socks. Maybe I would wear socks more if I have socks in my drawer that I put in my running shoes when I go out, say outside in the yard or something, but I don't know. So I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to challenge any of you out there that have never made a pair of socks to make a pair of socks this month. Now, you're welcome to make socks even if you have already made socks or if you're a novice and want to improve on it. I went deep diving in my stash, and I have a couple of yarns that I had no desire really to work with. They're from Expression Fiber Arts, as most of my stash tends to be these days. And it's called Resilient Superwash Merino Sock, and it has, that's all, Resilient Superwash Merino. So it's all superwash merino yarn. And I did make something with this in the past, but I never cared for it because it has stretch in it. It was just kind of funny. But I have this skein, and it has 400 yards, which I understand is enough to make a pair. And I have this one. Again, we got your boing. But I like these two colors. And I never knew what to do with them because to me, I didn't want boingy in my scarves. But I've decided, and I have another ball upstairs that's from a big box store. And I'm thinking I'm going to take at least one of these, and I'm going to make a pair of socks this month. And I'm going to challenge those out there, in my viewers. Let's make socks this month, whether you're a novice or a pro at it. But I'm particularly going to challenge those that have never made a pair of socks to make a pair of socks along with me. And I may go with the dark color just so it won't show the dirt. And I'm going to think about, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to gather your pictures later in the month or what? So anyway, stay tuned for whatever I decide to do. But for right now, be looking through your stash, see if you can find something. This has to have nylon in it because a sock, yeah, it doesn't say it has nylon and it doesn't say anything. So, but I'm pretty sure it does because she always says it's called a sock yarn and Shandy always says they're good for socks. So let's see who can learn how to make a sock. That'll be my new thing this year and what we can do with it. So I'm challenging you to make socks and we'll talk more about it as the month goes on. All right. When I said, you know what this month is? I'm sure several of you were saying to yourself, well, yeah, isn't this the time we get started on our clue adventure? Well, yes, it is. But I want to tell you, I made a little bit of a change in the plans. I said that I was going to open 3 every week or a 4th one week. There are actually 13, 12 small and 1 full skeins to open. And I got thinking about it. There are 4 weeks and three a week. We could open the 12. I decided, I just made an arbitrary decision here all by myself. I decided on the 1st to actually open the large skein of yarn. So I'm going to show you a picture right here of the large skein and in cake form. Here is a picture showing you great color of yarn. And here is the cake. See all those colored speckles? I can just imagine that this is going to be our neutral. And I know from a little conversation with Karen, I suspect that we're going to, and we'll find out today, but I know it starts because I opened it and I saw the first clue. I know it starts with this. And then I suspect we're going to get, you know, mini 1 and then a little of this, mini 2 and a little of this. I think that's how it might go. Or maybe it'll be 2 colors and this. This is going to be throughout the whole shawl. It is a shawl. And the 12 colors will go with it. So you think we're going to get pops of green and pops of red, and there's a teal or blue, and I saw yellow in here somewhere. We're going to get a lot of pretty single minis to, oh, there's some purple and pink. We're going to get a lot of pretty colors to go with this. And, you know, all by itself, I really like this cake. I could make something with it alone. So I opened this and all it had in it, here is the yarn. It obviously is a Forbidden Fiber Company yarn because that's who I bought the box from. And just so you know, the base is called Fortitude and it is 100% superwash merino. Oh, and it has 475 yards in it. That's a little bigger than most. And the color name is Who Done It. So that came off the skein of yarn, and in the package was clue 1. So it says just that's called color A, and this is clue 1. And and it had 10 rows, and I actually started it, and I have my first 10 rows done. There's a shawl working down, and I'll turn it around, and that's really pretty. Like I said, I could use the whole skein and just make a shawl with it. I really like how it's working up. But I did not open any minis. I just opened this because I wanted to get the base started, and we'll still be able to open 3 every week to the end of the month. I wanted to see what was happening in the skeins, and I also wanted to have the base ready so that I can get these 3 minis stitched up this week before next week's episode. So there's how it starts. Doesn't look good with this color behind it. So I'm really, really keen to see what colors we're going to get next. Now I'm going to have to keep these in order as I open them. So here is clue 2, and I did go back and look through the box, and I have to guess. I know I'm going to get clue 1, 2, 3 every month with the pattern from Karen, but I have to think there's going to be instructions or something in some of these little packages to help us with the game. So let's see what happens in this one. I'll open it here. These are quite well put together. They're wound up a lot. Okay, so we get, I guess whenever there's a clue, this is on it. It's a clue. It's a clue. So, first of all, let's have a nice look at the color. I'll put the pattern aside. Clue 2, that's color B. I love that color. That's really pretty. And this is called, okay, here's our clue. It's again 100% superwash merino, has 87 yards in it, and it's machine wash, tumble dry, and the name of it is Professor Plum. So that's a clue, Professor Plum. Now, have you all brought your little notepads and keeping notes? I'll have this laying here. I won't worry about keeping a note right now. But the clue is Professor Plum. We'll see how that helps us as the month goes on. So I'm going to put that back on the wrapping for number 2 so I don't get them mixed up. All right. Then we go to clue 3. I think I'm going to cut. It'll be easier than trying to tear through this. Oh, I think I have another. It's a clue. It's a clue. Number 3 is also a clue. And there's my pattern piece. And there's the color. Oh, isn't that nice and rich? Nice. Okay, that's number 2. And this is number 3. Now the specs that there will all be done. So it's a clue. Here's our clue. The name is Study. Is she just coming out and telling us Professor Plum did it in the study with whatever? Or is there more to this, that maybe they were there and it didn't happen there? I don't know. We'll find out how this goes together, but that is the yarn for the second part of the pattern. Now, I just want to check. Clue 2, I go to row 20, okay. And clue 3, go to row 28. Okay, I don't go back to the original color yet. We'll find out when I go back to the original color. All right, that's clue 3, and it was a clue. Okay. You keeping track, people? I'll have to do that later off screen. So here's number 4. I forgot to show you. Here's number 4. Did I tell you one of my viewers bought this? And she's probably going to be ahead of us at some point. And another, it's a clue. Well, of course, I got my crochet clue, number 4. I'll put it over there. I'm going to keep them all together. Look at this color. Isn't that nice? Wow. Now I intend to have these 3 minis all stitched up so you can see them in order by next week. I would love to get a full skein of that, the blacks, grays, the different colors of brown, chocolate brown. So it's a clue. Revolver. Well, if those are the clues, I think we've solved it already. There must be something more that tells us that that isn't what happened. Has to be. I can't imagine the first 3 clues tell us the answer. Anyhow, it's a clue, and that was clue number 2, 3, and 4. We still have 9 more clues, so there's got to be more to this story than that. So that's this week's segment for our clue game. And I have to say, I'm really enjoying the colors. I can't wait to sit down and start stitching up the clues that Karen has sent us. I am using a 3.5. You can't get the furls hooks that I like lower than a 4. And I have really found that I like the Prim. Can you see that? I don't think you can read it. Prim is P-R-Y-M, and this is an E, which is a 3.5. And I really like the grip on it. It's not quite as big as my furls, but I still really like it to get the small head. But I will warn you, this is plastic, right? And you think, okay, plastic is fine. And if you were to bend it, it would snap, of course. But I don't bend it hard. I work with it. By the way, I'm a pencil holder. But I want to tell you something about this that I learned, unfortunately. One day I had this, and I had one of my furls hooks laying on a table next to me where I work. And they both rolled over and fell on the floor. Now I knew without looking that likely, the way they hit, that likely my furls would be broken. But what I didn't expect was my Prim broke as well. I know this is thin, but it's plastic. I wouldn't have thought when it fell on the floor it broke, but it did. So I just want to warn you, now these are much cheaper than a furls hook. So I went and got, in fact, I got one, but I'm thinking I'm going to get a second for a backup. I do really like working with them. So if you've never tried them, you might want to check them out, especially in the small sizes, because it's hard to find something with the kind of barrel, I call it, the kind of barrel that I really like. So anyway, that's the end of our clue game for today. I just wanted to say, for those that may have missed it, that the flower of the month, I'll put the picture up here again. The flower for the month of October is the marigold. Several of you said you really liked marigolds. Unfortunately, I think they stink. And so I planted them one year and never planted them again. And these are the yarns. I showed the skeins. I now have them caked up. So I will get to this soon, but I am going to work each week on our clue game every week. So that was going to take me a couple of days at the beginning every week. And right now I'm just getting ready to start on a tester pattern for someone. And it's something that I think I can do in 3 or 4 days. Who knows? Maybe I'll have it done to show you next week. I do have another finished object I haven't shown you yet that I'll show you next week. And then about the middle of the month, I'll be ready to start with these. And of course, my socks. I got to find a pattern that I'm happy with. I saw a couple of beginner patterns on YouTube, one from Mikey of the Crochet Crowd and Ron Strong. He was doing one on Marley Bird's channel. I'm going to look at them both, and I'll check out some others on Ravelry and see what I like. Now, I have an acquisition. I've been making small ones. As you know, I'm holding back. By the way, I have an empty yard now, and I have to put in the call for the shed to come. I don't know when yet. When I contact him, he'll tell me when they're coming. So pretty soon I'll have before and after pictures for that space out there. But I have been making small acquisitions, and definitely Canadian dyers. And a lot of them, if you just order one skein, they send it vacuum sealed like this, so that the shipping can be free or minimal, $4 or $5. So I did make an order of a single skein of yarn, and it's a company called Rhubarb and Honey. Let's see on the back. I found them on Etsy. So I will definitely put the contact information in the description box below. And I don't know why I'm thinking they're from Saskatchewan, but they might be Alberta. I'm not sure, but they come from out west in Canada. And I know I have new viewers, and some of you may never have ordered yarn from an indie dyer, and therefore have never seen it come vacuum packed like this. But really, the more people that do this, I think the better we are, because it really, really saves in shipping. So I want you to, for those that have never done this, now that thread is real close, so I'm going to have to be careful. The minute you open these packages, there we go, I bypassed that lonely strand, they start to expand. I know a lot of my viewers have seen this before because I do it quite often. But, oh, I didn't cut it all the way. Oh, gee. I cut it so that I wouldn't cut any yarn, and it didn't quite cut far enough down to escape the vacuum. That's the only thing you have to be careful. Most dyers have the yarn quite a ways from where the seal is. That one was a little bit close, but right away it starts to expand, and you can take it out, and that thread got caught in the seal. And all you have to do, because you know they tie them, and they fluff right up. This has quite a few kinks in it, see? See all the kinks? But I'm going to go up tonight, I think, and put this on my Swift. I have an Amish Swift. I like it better than the other umbrella-shaped one. And maybe if I put it on the Swift, it'll pull out those kinks. But anyhow, there are the colors. Aren't they pretty? It's like an old rose color, blue, turquoise, more blue down there. I'll just go like that. Very, very pretty. Really interesting. I like the colors in this. This is, I'm going to give you my honest opinion of this, folks. I have ordered quite a few from companies that vacuum seal, and this is probably the poorest job of putting it in the plastic and sealing it, it was very, very close. One strand got just a wee bit caught in the seal, and the yarn is, look at all the kinkiness in it. Now, I don't know what that comes from, if that's their normal way, but I've never had yarn come all that kinky. There's no other word for it. I think you can see it throughout there. It's really kind of kinky. And the strands were kind of mixed as to what direction they were going. So it's pretty loosely skeined. Hopefully I won't have trouble in unraveling it. Now the feel of it is nice. It's soft. So where's the tag? Now here's the tag. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and there are 420 yards in the skein. That's average. And the color is Brooksbank. I really, really like the color, and it feels nice, but all of this weird kinkiness and the strands going in all kinds of directions. A little bit poorly wound, if you ask me. But we'll see what happens. I might just skein it up, although they say don't skein it till you're going to use it. But I don't know. I want to make sure that it is going to skein decently, and I'll let you know next week. And it came with a little stitch marker. The phone rang, and I didn't have it here with me. Anyway, that is the yarn that I got from Rhubarb and Honey, and I really like the color, and I'm looking forward to putting it to use. So maybe I can find something to make with this. Maybe I can get a solid to go with it, because I really do like the colors. And I got notification that my Arkansas sock yarn subscription is in the mail. It went in the mail last Friday, so I'm assuming on past evidence that I'll have it by this Friday. I don't know why it comes so fast from them and so slow from everybody else, but I will have that to show you next week. And since I haven't bought yarn in a while, I did break down and buy a little bit of yarn from Ravenswood, and I bought some yarn from Arcane Fiber Company. Both of them Canadian. Ravenswood on the East Coast, and Arcane Fiber is in Alberta, which is almost the West Coast. So I will have a little bit of yarn to show you next week. So this week, that's all there is, and a little shorter than usual. But now that we're not doing all the birthday thing, it's not quite as busy. So I'm thinking that's all I have to say this week, and hopefully you'll be back next week. And until then, happy hooking.